Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's take a collective breath together. As we prepare for today's celebration, we reflect on our sacredness and reaffirm to ourselves that we are spiritual beings infused with the divine. In coming together, we again feel the fervor of our love and once again experience gratitude and gratefulness for this opportunity. Thank you, God, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Judy. Woo! She threw down fervor already. Yes.
I like that word.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Now comes a very special part of our service, and it's the lighting the flames of oneness. And my candle lighter today is John Heidel. Woohoo! Awesome. So, as you all know, we're an interfaith gathering. It's a spiritual community that honors all teachings and all spiritual teachers. So we're going to begin this ceremony that celebrates the oneness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths come from the one universal presence, which we call spirit. So let us begin. The Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. Shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of pristine spirituality. We have Hinduism, where we're honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Judaism, which is honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. Our candle's doing some weird things this morning.
Yeah, Buddhism is one of mine.
Okay, so we'll spend a moment in Buddhism. Okay. Okay. All right, come on, Buddhism. Send your energy. Okay. Well, we'll move on to Christianity. Honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. Now we also have Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. And of course, my favorite, hopefully your favorite, New Thought, which is honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. Now, we're candle challenged this morning. So Joan, I'm just going to ask you to hold up that candle that you have in your hand, because that'll be our healing candle of love this morning. I'm just going to ask all of you to bring to the stillness of your own mind. Bring to awareness the names of anyone that you wish to be included in this healing flame of love and of light. And so now that our flames of faith and our flames of faith to be are fully lit, we move into our celebration, realizing and reaffirming that all paths lead to God. Thank you, Joan. Is this where rainy days and Mondays would work out? Okay. Our sacred reading today comes from someone I've never met, but I almost feel like she's a close personal friend. And her name is Jane Beach. Imagination is a very good thing, and the God of your understanding will use it to awaken you. Pretend that you came upon a bottle washed up on the seashore and the note inside with your name on it. The note says, "You are the light of my life. You don't need to earn my adoration, so quit trying so hard to be lovable. Instead, enjoy your day and know that you are precious to me. With love from the universe. The beloved will find endless ways to awaken you to the truth of your beauty." And so it's in that spirit and that love. Let's go ahead and state our purpose, vision, and mission statements this morning. You know, our purpose, well, our reason for being here. We awaken and inspire love and oneness. Our vision, what do we want to create? What do we want to become? We are an empowered, uplifting, inclusive community. And our mission, just how are we going to do this? We teach spiritual transformation with grace and joy. And now back to Karen. Thank you so much. Give it up for Karen. It's not easy to stand up there by herself. And of course, we have Eric, the piano player, stepping in for Erin this week. So thank you, Eric. I was just looking at Erin's post on Instagram. She seems to be having a very good time on her trip. So, the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living. We could also just be called the Alaska Center for Prayer, because that's what we love to do here. That's the rock that we stand upon. Whether your life is going amazingly well, like Midnight's, or maybe you run across a bump in the road, Mr. Fleming. Who knows? But there's one thing that you have with you no matter where you are, no matter who you're with, or no matter what the situation is. And that's prayer. So, there are several ways to avail yourself to this deep practice. One is pray. Don't worry about the words. Whatever you say will be just fine. The second is reach out to us. If you want some powerful prayer people, we are the people. We have taken paint off of walls. So email us or call the office. Leave us a note. We will be on that prayer request, and we're going to pray for you all week. And that's like 17, 18 people. So you can't. Whew, that's a force. And the last thing is just go on our website. Type it out, and it'll be sent to us. And we read those and we hold those to our heart. So there's no reason why the most powerful thing in the entire universe can't be used by you in any moment. So I look forward to all the prayers that come through. So let's see. We are going into the most amazing time of year, at least what I think is the most amazing time of year, and that's when we start our classes. So we've got 2 classes coming up. Now, this first one, which is called Revealing Wholeness, was going to be taught by Tony Shannon. And of course, she's out in a village that I cannot name. So it'll be on Zoom. She's a very powerful teacher, and I'm going to read what this is. It's compare the science of mind teaching of the creative process with the observer effect in quantum physics. So the cartoon version, maybe not. If you like things meaty, this would be a great class to take. And that's not going to start this coming week, but the week after. All the information is here as well as on our website. Sign up for both of these classes to send an email to office, CSLalaska.org. Now, the second class, has anybody heard or had the honor of having Bob Corpin or Kaleem Nordine pray for you? Woo! I'm telling you, powerful, powerful prayers. And they're going to be teaching the power of your word. So that's actually going to start September 23rd with a 1-hour introductory session. Again, send off an email to office at ACSLalaska.org. I want to throw out a special thank you today for Eric for joining us on piano. And then our speaker today is this guy called Reverend Don. But before we go into the rest of our service, we have what we call a new thing. It's called the Minister's Moment. Please welcome Reverend Don.
Thank you, Linda. I just want to take this moment to put all the rumors to rest, and I will just tell you exactly what happened last week and why I wasn't here last week. Saturday afternoon, I experienced a thing that the doctors have later called a TIA, or a transient ischemic attack. Some people call that a mini stroke. To put that in language that I could understand, I thought of the Columbia Glacier, you know, a tidewater glacier, and they have those big chunks of ice that fall off into the water. Well, it was kind of like that in the carotid artery between my heart and my brain. I don't know whether it was a blood clot or some of that plaque that builds up, but some of that calved off a little iceberg, glacier, that started flowing through my brain until it got to where they're small enough that it plugged it up and plugged that baby up. And it only lasted a short amount of time. It was kind of scary. I couldn't move my arm, or and I had no feeling, but I returned to normal in a short amount of time and everything was good. My neighbor did assist in getting me into the hospital. He told Ann, take him right now, which she did, and I'm glad it did. I spent 4 days in the hospital, and they looked at me and prodded and poked and took my blood and everything else, and determined, number one, that I do have a heart, and number two, that I do have a brain, some of which has been questioned occasionally. But it's going to be fine. I am going to be wearing a monitor for about 30 days, and we're going to dig into this a little deeper and find out exactly what it was. But I feel fine. Everything's okay. Now, I will be out the next 3 weeks. Has nothing to do with this TIA. I was scheduled to go to a reunion in Wyoming. I just wasn't comfortable getting on a sealed up tube for 6 hours and then walking through airports and everything else, and then visiting my 92-year-old mother-in-law, my sister with a lung situation, my brother-in-law who's going through chemo, and I just thought, let's run the white flag up on this and we'll do it another time. So that's it. I'm fine, and life is good. So thank you, and we're back to music. Thank you.
We are held in the hands of grace, forever safe in the arms of love. Like a child receives protection from a mother's warm embrace, we are held in the hands of grace. You are held in the hands of grace, forever safe in the arms of love. Like a child receives protection from a mother's warm embrace, we are held in the hands of grace. We are held in the hands of grace, forever safe in the arms of love. Like a child receives protection from a mother's warm embrace, we are held in the hands of grace. We are held in the hands of grace.
Thank you, Karen. That was beautiful. Eric, thank you so much. Thanks for coming in and filling in. And in my minister's moment, I was neglectful to be sure and thank Kaleem for. Poor Kaleem gets a call Saturday afternoon, says, oh, by the way, you're on tomorrow morning. And he did a wonderful job. So thank you to Kaleem, and thank you to everyone here, the sound team, musicians, singers. And welcome to the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living. Thank you for coming today, all of you who are here today. And thank you for those of you tuning in. It is indeed an honor to be invited into your home. So thank you very much. And welcome to our service this day. The title of my talk today is SIRI. And it starts with the story of a man who looked at his phone one day and he said, Siri, what is the path to enlightenment? And his phone answered, Siri. And he said, yes, but what is the path to enlightenment? And his phone said, I told you, it's Siri. And he said, yeah, I got that. You Siri, me Don. What is the path to enlightenment? She says, listen, blockhead, let me spell it out for you. S is for self-care. I is for imagination. R is for re-emerge or remember. And the final I is for integrate. And he said, wow, that sounds interesting. Tell me more. And so that is my sermon today. Tell me more about SIRI. We start off with self-care. This encompasses the entire spectrum. We can start off with physical self-care. It's a good thing to watch what we eat. It is important that we exercise, that we take care of this suit that we are given to walk on this plane in this lifetime, that we take care of our physical bodies. It's important also that we take care of our mental status, that we pay attention to our mind. It's good to challenge our thinking. It's good to challenge how we look, pay attention to our minds. It's important also that we look at the psychological side, that we can look at our emotions, that we can feel fear and move through it. We can feel a scarceness and move through it and know that there's a higher truth. We can move through all of this. And finally, it's important that we take care of and we give self-care to our spiritual nature. And I thought about that. How do I go about taking care self-care of my spiritual nature. You know, I think the single biggest thing for me is our magazine. I love our magazine. One of the first things that I go to every month is Jesse Jennings. And he's got the Q&A in there, and it's almost always questions that I have had at one time or another or still have. And he gives these great down-to-earth, shirt-sleeve English answers. They're not some high platitudes. They're real nuts and bolts things that you can get your arms around. Then I like the daily guides. The daily guides are always good, and I'm always about 3 or 4 days behind, and then I jump ahead a ways. But I love the daily guides. They always end in an affirmation. And there are 2 or 3 other segments that I almost always turn to. Rocco Errico and some of his revelations about the translation of the Gospels, the Christian Gospels, or Good News, as put forth in the original Aramaic. And he deals with the idioms and how words were different then and how things can be different. And I will never forget on both of his trips to Alaska when he was here, and he recited the Lord's Prayer in the original Aramaic. Whoa. Of course, nobody here knew a single word of what he was saying, but the feeling of it, look at it, it's giving me goosebumps here right now. But that's how I give self-care to myself from the spiritual standpoint. And then I think that it's important as we adopt this self-care that we adopt intentional living and conscious choice. Instead of allowing the world to swirl us around that river on an ever-changing thing and bouncing from bank to bank, instead we can become intentional. We can put a rudder on that little raft as it goes down the river of life, and we can make intentional choices, and we can make conscious decisions on how we're going to act and what we're going to do. Parker Palmer, the renowned educator, sort of the father of modern education, wrote, "Self-care is never a selfish act. It is simply good stewardship of the only gift that I have, the gift that I was put on earth to offer others." It makes a great point. What we are here to do, whatever it is enhanced when we take care of ourselves. We've been given something wonderful. Each of us has a unique gift, and it's important that we take care of ourselves so that we can deliver on that gift, so that we can make it happen. Another thing that is important for us, that is a technique that we can use, is to relax and to set into a way so that we are not buffeted around by the things of the world. And we all run into things. This is called a cue-controlled relaxation. I can just hear SIRI saying, "I found this." This technique was developed by Marina Harris, who's a PhD, a sports psychologist at North Carolina State University. And this technique utilizes conditioned response. You know, think of Pavlov and the dogs, and as soon as they hear the bell, they start salivating. Well, you're not going to salivate if you do this, but it's, you know what I mean. But it can be used in any situation in which you feel stress or anxiety, perhaps. Examples might be taking a test, or perhaps even going to the dentist, or things that make you uncomfortable. Public speaking. So here's the process. First of all, you pick a word that you like, something that is going to calm you down. And some examples are settle, calm, just this. The word that I use is serenity. And make sure that it's a word that you like. serenity is good for me. I think of the serenity prayer. I think of all of those attributes, calmness and peace. And then you find a relaxation technique that works for you. And you can Google that. Don't say that in front of SIRI. But there are many, many different ways that you can find these. And one that I used is that it fits for me, and it's called the 4-4-4 breathing technique. And it's fairly simple, as you just inhale to the count of 4. And then you hold your breath for a count of 4. And then you exhale once again to the count of 4. And as you exhale, you repeat your word. And for me, I repeat it 4 times. Serenity, 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 serenity. And as you do that, you begin to relax. You focus on relaxing. You start at the top of your head, serenity, your face, serenity, your jaw, your neck muscles, serenity, your chest, serenity, and then move down through the rest of your body, serenity. And then you repeat. And you do this 4 times. And you repeat to yourself your word. And after you have done this 3 or 4 times a day for 10 or 12 days, couple of weeks, doesn't make any difference, until you can feel yourself calming down as you exhale. Then I invite you to time yourself. And mine was taken about 2.5 minutes. So you lop off 30 seconds. And you still go through the same process. Count to 4, hold your breath, release to 4, and relax the top of your head, and you let it out. Serenity, serenity. And then the next week, you take off another 30 seconds. And you keep making it shorter and shorter and shorter until you're down to just 1 exhale. Serenity, 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 serenity. And finally, you're at the place, where all it takes to reach that state of being totally relaxed is listening to the word and exhaling. Serenity. And this can be used in many, many different situations, and it can assist you in so many things. For example, public speaking, or making any type of a presentation, or taking a test, or any of the things that we encounter in our daily lives, that it would make us feel better if we were more grounded when we step into that activity. Cue controlled relaxation. Second point, the I in SIRI. The first I is imagination. We all have very vivid imaginations. Albert Einstein once said, imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. For if our thoughts are creative, our imaginations are creating it's the secret preview. It is the trailer of what's to come of our lives in front of us. Years ago, in one of the talks that I gave, I talked about the study that was done on creativity. And we started studying creativity with very, very, very small children and followed them all the way up through their lives. And what they discovered is up through about age 5, children are extremely creative. They are filled with the ability to do all kinds of different things and have new and different ideas. They're just loaded with that kind of stuff. But starting at about age 5, that starts to go down. And over the next 5 years, it decreases. Whereas up to age 5, they were somewhere around 85 to 95% on this scale of creativity. Between 5 and 10, that falls down to the place where at 10 years old, they are barely 15%. They've lost so much of that. And part of it is because of the way our society is structured. Oh, you can't do that. And part of that I understand. It's for their self-protection. You know, yes, you want to be creative and run out into the street, but you can't run into the street in the middle of rush hour traffic. So there are things, but we hold our children back and we give up our creativity and our imagination. Years ago, in a foundations class, there was a young lady who was a little unsure of all this thoughts become things stuff. And I'm not too sure about this. Our thoughts are creative. And we got to that place in the foundations class where the students were challenged to do something positive within their lives. And we started out with small things. I think that the example that I used was grocery lines, a short line at the grocery store. But what she chose was parking place. Finding a parking place was the bane of her existence. She always had to spend a long time driving around trying to find a parking place at her work. And she'd have to leave way, way, way early every day just to get a parking place. So she concentrated on seeing that parking place, and she affirmed that it was hers. She went through all of the steps that we had of visualization, and the next week when she came back, she was elated. She had found a parking spot right away all 6 days that she worked that week. She had a parking spot, and not only that, but on 5 of those days, it was in the parking garage and right next to the elevator. She had manifested this, and everybody was happy for her. Well, a few weeks went by, and during the foundations class, occasionally we're given the opportunity to kind of do some inner work and kind of look at some of the things that are going on in our lives. And she came to the realization that she was ready for a partner. She was tired of living a single life, and she decided that that's what she would like to do. And so she went through the same process, and she visualized what it would be like. She went through this process. If it worked for finding a parking place, it ought to work for finding a partner in her life. Well, before the class was done, back in those days it was 13 weeks, before the 13 weeks was done, she was dating. And within 6 or 8 months, she was married. Thoughts become things. Choose the good ones. Our thoughts become our reality, so choose good ones. Ernest Holmes, in The Power for Good, Lesson 8, wrote, "The law of correspondence works from the belief to the thing. If we believe that we shall have only a little good will come into our experience." And of course, that implies that if we have a belief that a greater good can come into our experience, then that greater good will manifest. When we worry, we're focusing our attention on what we don't want and not on what it is that we do want. We can use our imagination to create a mental equivalent of what it is we do want. A mental equivalent of what we do want. Imagination is key. The R in SIRI, remember or re-emerge, could also be looked at as reawakening to our own divinity. This is the point in time when we can say, wait a minute, that's not the truth of who I am. The truth of who I am is a product of the divine creative force of the universe. The very same thing that put the stars in motion, that created all of everything in perfect balance in this world in which we live. I cannot believe that that thing did everything perfect in its creation except me. That I am the only mess up that divine creative force ever made. No, I am made with the same perfection that created all of the entire cosmos. And as such, it is so beautiful because I have been given free choice. I have been given the choice to choose bondage over freedom, to choose lack and limitation over abundance and prosperity. I can do that. What a gift. But sometimes we've learned enough and we can choose prosperity and abundance. We can choose health. We can choose a different way of living. Ernest Holmes, once again, he said, "There is something within you that sings the song of eternity. Listen to it." I love that. There is something within you that sings the song of eternity. Listen to it. In his famous Sermon by the Sea, Ernest Holmes said, "We have discovered that which the great, the good, and the wise have sung about and thought about, the imprisoned splendor within ourselves and within each other, and have direct contact with it." I love that. The imprisoned splendor within ourselves and within each other, and we have direct contact with it. Our last I is integrate. It's great to talk about all of these things, but the important thing is that we integrate them into our lives, that we make something that we can do something about. Exact example is our foundation student that could manifest a parking place and she could manifest a life partner. And we can do exactly the same thing. One of the things that came up, and this was a sort of a cute deal, and I liked it. I don't think it comes out of foundations or any of our other teachings, but it fits right in, and it's called stop. And this is enter into the silence. Then take the time to be still and know and to find your gifts. Find the opportunity to use your gifts. And finally, the presence whispers its wisdom to us. Stop. Silence, time, opportunity, and presence. And so SIRI finally concluded, and what she told the man, what I want you to remember today is human beings have 5 senses: sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. Spirituality is the ability to recognize that there is intelligence beyond our 5 senses. There is a universal power that creates and governs everything within and beyond the world that we know. And that power is omnipresent. We can surrender to this supreme intelligence through our awareness. We call this universal power by different names as per our religious faiths. But spirituality makes things easier for us to go through life's journey with all of its ups and downs. It makes our lives happier. In our philosophy and what we teach, we don't say that you never have problems in your life. It's what we say is that there's a way to approach those problems, and there's a way to approach life that is more effective than letting it run us. And so with our awareness of that power, that presence, that life, I invite my colleagues, the practitioners, and everyone else. We're all practitioners. Some have licenses. But I invite everyone to join me in holding this truth, that there is indeed a power in the universe, one magnificent power, one presence, one life, and that life is the life of God, That is the life of each and every one of us. It is my life here and now. And that life at its core is perfect. And so as we go through this thing called life, we know that we are at choice. And we can take the curves that life throws at us, and we can dance around them. We can deal with them. We can confront them. We can absorb them. For we know that we are made of God's stuff. We know that we are products of that infinite intelligence. And so we can just give thanks. We can give thanks for our awareness of that power, that presence, that life that is within each and every one of us. So as we face these problems, we know that we are not alone, that we have that infinite intelligence with us, within us. We have that infinite power with us, within us. And we can give thanks. We give thanks for that awareness, for it is that awareness that carries us through. That awareness is the rudder on our little craft as we go down the river of life. So we just give thanks, we let it go then, and we can let it be. And so it is.
There be less of me, let there be more of thee. Less of the human, more of the divine. Less that belongs to me, more that is thine. More of God's nature, and less that is mine. Order and harmony now are in place. Where there is harmony, discord will cease. Where there is harmony, there will be peace. No personality, individuality, more of the Spirit self shining through me. Teach me humility, let me your servant be. Give me serenity, selfless and free. Order and harmony now are in place. Where there is harmony, discord will cease. Where there is harmony, there will be peace. Let there be less of me, let there be more of thee. Less of the human, more of the divine. Less of the human, more of the divine.
Thank you, Karen. Now is the time in our service where we are afforded the opportunity to participate in another one of our spiritual practices, that being the law of circulation. We do believe that there is a reciprocity in the universe, and as we give, it is returned to us. And I would like to comment on our candles today. I don't think there was any divine intervention for the Buddhists and the Muslims, really. It's what that is. I mean, it's a very good explanation. And that's your tightwad minister thought he could squeeze one more week out of those two little 10-cent tea light candles.
That was me. It was my screw
Well, I assure you we will have fresh tea lights next week. We're going to spend a whole 90 cents. Oh, yes. Well, let's do our affirmation now. Got to do our affirmation. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I receive, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. So it is. Oh, I didn't recognize the people that are here. I'm sorry. Lynn and Marianne, of course, great to hear you guys. Cynthia George, Kaleem, thank you, Kaleem, for stepping in last week, last minute. Robert Wallace, Mark Wolgamuth, Deidre Grant, Jessica Bauman, Beverly Churchill, just to name a few of the people that are watching in today. Thank you for tuning in. And now we can go. I got an affirmation.
I'm the cheapskate. Okay, no, sorry.
This is my favorite, or one of them. My soul sings out to you, my love. My soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you, my love. My soul sings out to you. Oh Lord, my God, you are my strength. You carry me on your wings. You are in me, you know my heart. My soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you, my love. My soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you, my love. My soul sings out to you. Your constant blessings flow through me like a mighty river to my heart. You are my life, you set me free, and I will love you forever and ever and ever and ever, forever and ever and ever and ever. My soul sings out to you, my love. My soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you, my love. My soul sings out to you. I like that jazzy version there.
Love that song. I forgot to mention when I talked about prayer that there's a lot of people here today. We can actually write your prayer request and put it in the prayer box. So don't forget that. So first, our affirmation for the day. So please repeat after me. SIRI, thank you
Siri,
Thank you
for reminding me of who I am.
for reminding me of who I am.
And so as we close today and go off onto our extra Labor Day weekend, self-care allows my imagination to embrace the silence. Taking time with the divine presence, I reemerge finding amazing opportunities, and I integrate all of my gifts. And for this, I am grateful. And so it is.
Shine your light, let your love be bold and bright, a flame that lights your darkest night. Shine your light, shine your light, shine your light. Join me, let your light